So first things first, make sure if you want to back up your SYSEX files, you need to make sure you are in MIDI out A, like so. Then on your MIDI interface you need to be into in A, which on this particular interface happens to be on the front. There's the MIDI interface telling me it's doing stuff. So to back up the keyboard via SYSEX, we need to set the keyboard into a backup mode. So first thing we do is we hit the global button. A couple of things we're looking for here. The first is we need to make sure that the MIDI channel is A01, which it is. It's already set to that. And we don't have to do anything more on this menu at this point in time. So to start using MIDI-OX, we have to first set up the MIDI interface you're using. To do that, click Options, go MIDI Devices, and on the screen you should see your MIDI interface. Now I'm using a MIDI Sport 2x2, therefore you can see that in the MIDI inputs and MIDI outputs already pre-selected. Select your device in both of those windows, click OK. The next thing we want to do is we want to filter out some of the SYSEX information that's coming down to the computer. If I press keys on the keyboard, you can see that note data, in terms of note on-off data, is coming down from the keyboard into the computer. So we want to stop some of those messages because we don't want to record some of this stuff. We just want to record the SYSEX information concerning the setup of the keyboard. To do that, we go Options, MIDI filter. Now, there's lots of options here. We can filter on channels, we can filter on, notes off, various pieces. But what we actually really want to take away here is real-time information. So we click on the three ellipses against real time. And as you can see, I'm already filtering out the timing clock and active sensing messages. Okay, select those two options and click OK. The other thing in this screen I have selected is display SYSEX messages in monitors, just so I can see the messages coming up. Click OK to save those settings. Now we're ready to move into SYSEX. So to open the SYSEX screen, click View and System Exclusive. Just let me move that to the center of the screen so it becomes easily visible, I should say. So SYSEX, we need to set the configuration up. So we go SYSEX Configuration. Now what we're going to set up here is the amount of data that is either sent to the computer or sent from the computer to the T1. Now the T1 is quite an old machine and therefore can't process data very quickly. So we need to slow down the transfer rate from the computer to the keyboard when we're putting data back. However, from the keyboard to the computer, because the computer is a modern machine, it can handle vast quantities of data very quickly. For that reason, we set the size of the input at 256 with a number value of 32, and we set the size of the output at 64 with a number value of 2. We also put in a delay after F7 and show all for F0 to F7 in color text. That should now configure the SYSEX component of MIDI-OX on this computer for operation with the T1. Click OK to save these settings. The next thing we need to do is tell the keyboard that we want to dump all data. So we go into Global, scroll through the global menus until we come to the Global Dump menu. As you can see, the Dump All Data option is already executed. So we're now ready to receive data from the T1. To do that, again, we click on the SYSEX menu of the scratch pad and we say Receive Manual Dump. The computer is now waiting for the keyboard to start transmitting. So I'm now going to tell the keyboard to dump. As soon as the keyboard starts transmitting, you see the number of bytes received by the computer slowly increase. When the keyboard is finished transmitting, the number of bytes received will stop. As you can see, it's now stopped. To finish the recording, I click Done. As you can see, when it's finished dumping the data, the screen returns to the global dump data. That's all you need to do from the keyboard. So come out of this, go back to Combi. The recorded data now appears in the display window of the scratch pad. Now that we've got the data in the scratch pad, we need to save it. To do that, we go Display Window, Save As, and we want to save this file as a SYSEX file, so remember to put .syx after it. I'm going to call this Korg T1 test .syx. Fumble fingers. Save. That file is now saved to your computer. You now have a copy of the contents of the keyboard's settings, sounds, sequencer, etc. Finally, we have some housekeeping to do. So what we do is we go File, and we're going to save the configuration file for MIDI-OX. Now the reason you do this is that next time we come to work with the Korg T1, instead of having to go and set those parameters manually, we can just load the configuration file. That's it, we're now done. The files are saved, the profile is saved. I've been told it helps the channel out greatly if you hit the like button if you enjoyed the contents of this video. If you want to be notified about future videos that may be made for the channel, please hit the subscribe button.